Elote roasting, walking past the dulceria. Old man, boasting, smoking, joking outside the cantina. I was raised into a man in the land of the Southwest. Phoenix, poet, yes, yes. Ink flowing wet from the inkjet. I pay rent with words I dispense. On the bus, I bet I met 1,000 people from California. Midwest, East Coast, get it, Osaka, Texas, Minnesota, New York, Alabama, Georgia, Dakota, Oklahoma, Oaxaca, Chihuahua, Chiapas, Sonora, Sinaloa. I love people in my town, but I can't stand how politicians make money from the lockdown, focus on one side of town. In the inner city, cops bow wow like bloodhounds. Though everybody know now, most dope get smoked way out from the city where it be a pretty white crowd. Now, rich kid really clubbing, shoving coke in the nays out, and a poor ghetto kid get kicked profile face down. Hometown drug game is fatal. Watch out, ghetto birds swoop in like a hornet. Yep, put a fist in the protest. El Pueblo Unido jamás será vencido. Justice for the people, for the people, for the people, yeah. We sit from the pews of every church and sing. Oil wash up on the beach. We prayed for boys in the Middle East. In Arizona, a mother screamed, Jesus, please. Cause his son got shot down in the street, trying to hold on to his Jesus piece. The graffiti piece says rest in peace. We got many beliefs, but it seems to me we worship the same thing. Pray Mr. Bling Bling. I need green, let freedom ring. Chop, chop, go the final tree. They say save the planet, but it's more like save the human beings. Cause the planet gonna be here after we all deceased. All we need is peace. All right, here's a short breakup poem. I think breakups, I think it's funny that it's like a common factor that like once someone breaks up with you, you gotta like change some shit about yourself, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, stuff about yourself. You know, like, I'm gonna change my hair. Joseph will never recognize me, you know what I mean? So different. What I like to do is I like to watch nature documentaries. I feel like if I watch regular like television, there's some type of love narrative, and even if it's just completely bizarre, I'd be like, oh my God, that was us. But if I watch like a tiger try to kill an alligator, I'm like, life is real. I don't know what I'm complaining about, you know what I mean? So I was watching this nature documentary, and they had this whole sequence about fireflies. And that was not what I was hoping to watch. Fireflies are only a few centimeters in length, and I am 5 feet 11 inches watching nature documentaries for comfort. Foolish in believing that the sound of some British dude's voice set against the image of a tree lit like Christmas from the tiny bodies of thousands of fireflies signaling to their mates just might stop my mind from continuing to recognize that you are gone. I started doing yoga on YouTube. I'm really bad, but I'm learning breath by breath. Yeah, I thought there would be more alligators in this documentary. Instead, I'm attempting to breathe like a firefly, standing in tree pose, incapable of laughing at how hilariously sad my balance is without you to lean on. The light fireflies produce is called bioluminescence, and I can't help but think of us in any other light, bioluminescent. The first time your lips collided with mine, every time I held my breath and attempted to swallow all the air surrounding you as you slept, bioluminescent. This night, this breath, tumbling from my chest in sad song, signaling itself to you. I just want to say, shout out Bruce, there you are, Trish, Michael, Stephanie, everybody who makes this possible. I think it's in so many ways, the way we resist in our culture to find spots and places for people to express themselves represents itself in this true way that has many, many, many forms. And I'm glad that Kingman continues for over a decade to continue to transform that space for its community. I think that is commendable and is a big, it works, all right. And in many ways it's because it always is. It's because it's a small group of people that work hard to make something happen, you know? And yeah, so gratitude. When I was a boy, I wanted to have green eyes. Aqua tangled amber blue water green eyes. Now I didn't want green eyes because I developed some type of shame about having brown eyes. Nah. My Chicana mother kept it a buck and let us know that brown is indeed beautiful. No, I wanted green eyes because I like the Ninja Turtles and my favorite color was green. I wanted green eyes because I grew up on rivers that spilled as open and as free as my limbs under the brim of a sun riding on top of my father's shoulders, mesmerized by mountains and valleys. I realized I wanted green eyes because my father's eyes are green. I used to watch him, his hands and arms twice the size of mine, handing me a basketball, tying my shoes, helping me up a hillside. I would watch as he would jump into the truck with other men, giants who told me one day I would be like them. And just last June, I felt my father's age tremble in my palm as I helped him up a hillside. We drank cold water from the same cup, the love in his gaze, a sight I won't soon take for granted. Imagine, in 8th grade, I was embarrassed of my dad. He was loud and intellectual and tough. And all my friends thought he was super duper funny. And I hated that. I left home at 18. And just last week, my father spoke to me about that day, how he was loading groceries into his car, how unexpectedly green his eyes wept without restraint over the absence of his only living son. I've seen my pops battle depression, pick up a cigarette and flick it just to pick it up before finally kicking it. I've witnessed him clap on keyboards through the night. I've witnessed him honor and love my mother as his wife. I've heard him apologize over and over again for not making more money, to which I've responded by saying that you can't put a price on the privilege of having a good father by your side. Not everything about my father is good, but there's merit in his stride, and he's been hell-bent and heaven-sent on providing all he can to contribute to the lives of his children. And these days, I don't want green eyes. I like mine just fine, a perfect splash of my mother and father combined. Besides, my father's eyes aren't really green. There's too much miracle rippling inside of them to ever be labeled just one thing. I've seen them slate and gray over my grandfather's grave. I've seen them hazy, hazel, magenta blaze, handing me a basketball, tying my shoes, helping me up a hillside. There are lifetimes and legacies behind their shine, and I'm compelled to believe that the source of that light will always reside here. You want to hear a joke?
Dude.
Not having jokes. Yo, I think I bought these shoes from a drug dealer. Because I've been tripping all day. I'm not gonna tell you any jokes. Okay, here's a, I think the culture of slam in general, like, it's where I came up, when I was really green, when I was like, 19 years old, I was like, people do poetry? I thought that was just some shit I wrote in my room, and they do it in the public. And I remember seeing it for the first time and just getting into it. I was just so excited about it. But it's a whole national phenomenon, and people in cities just like go crazy about it. There's scenes and cult followings of people can take it too seriously, So this is a poem I wrote making fun of slam poetry. So yes. Mostly just the people who take it too seriously, so like this. Indications that you're listening to a slam poem.
This is good.
1. Definitions. Slam poets define vast abstractions using metaphor. Love is a rainy day on Jupiter. And you will think to yourself, well, I was a science major, and it rains on Jupiter. It just doesn't rain water. It rains liquid helium contaminated by neon. So you're saying that love is a day of liquid helium contaminated by neon falling onto a planet I cannot survive on. Exactly. Love takes no prisoners. 2. Commandments. Slam poets will command you to do things that are physically impossible. Make your heart a boombox and your tongue a spatula. Stir up the whirlwinds. And you will think to yourself, I can't. Exactly. You are the whirlwind. Slam poets are nuts, and I love them. But remember, a slam poet would never ever write a poem that generalizes an entire subculture of people. And remember, slam poets don't give up about scores, because slam is love. And love is a rainy day on Jupiter, son.
Oh, shit.
We're good to do one more? How are we doing time-wise? Do one more?
At least one, yeah.
Or more than one?
At least one.
Okay, all right. I'm inspired by my mans with the blue guitar. I don't know where he went. But he was talking about his landlord.
Hey, when I picked it up, it wasn't blues, but you know, I started playing it as you got the blues.
Whatever you were doing, I was feeling it. To the base of my being, out of my fifth cortex. Here's something I wrote. This is a song. It goes. I remember how you used to smile real wide. I remember how we used to shut it down. Elados from the corner store. Crazy documentaries. Who could smoke by the pool? Talking about your frenemies. Wow. We were just so young, we had our own style. We were just so young, we never thought about this friendship ever dissipating. But we were naive, perfect at commiserating. I ran into you last night, red dress and a smile like a flashlight. Some type of residue stuck to us, just like a past life. I shed a tear when I think about what that man did to you. Abuse made you feel used, so all you did was use. I'm sure I made a promise that I couldn't keep. I'm sorry. I hope you know you mean a lot to me. I'm sorry. I'm glad your time with that needle was super brief. I love you, even if we never speak. Say, pretty dark, molasses heart. Drip, drip, dripping down rose-colored sparks. Electric lady, I remember your shadow was crazy. Magic in your glance, blow, daisy. Pretty dark, molasses heart. Drip, drip, dripping down rose-colored sparks. Electric lady, I remember your shadow was crazy. Magic in your glance, blow, daisy. I remember how you used to smile, how you used to laugh stupid loud. Chilling, halfway dressed, thrown across the couch. I could tell you about anything. Women I dated, family issues, my heart deflated, and I miss you. I wonder if this song ever make it on your playlist. We used to pretend we could duck bad vibes like we were in the Matrix. Your black hair raving, eyelids debonair shaking, Phoenix pavement, traveling through bad parties in a couple of basements. I held you under the moon when you said that you could not make it, but we did, and you did, and we cool, but we just ain't friends. I ran into you for the first time the other night. We shared a cigarette and talked about all of our old times. I'm sure I made a promise that I couldn't keep. I'm sorry. I hope you know you mean a lot to me. I'm sorry. I'm glad your time with that needle was super brief. I love you, even if we never speak. Say, pretty dark, molasses heart. Drip, drip, dripping down rose-colored sparks. Electric lady, I remember your shadow was crazy. Magic in your glance, blow, daisy. Pretty dark, molasses heart. Drip, drip, dripping down rose-colored sparks. Electric lady, I remember your shadow was crazy. Magic in your glance, blow, daisy. Okay, let's see. This will be my last poem. Thank you so much. To all the young writers and poets, keep doing it. You know what I mean? Find spaces where you can share your work together. You know, don't just wait for the band. Do you want to hear a poem about Richie Valens?
I love this one.
Or a love poem?
I love it. I love the Richie Valens one.
Or whatever.
Richie Valens.
Okay.
I might watch the movie.
I love this
You were
one.
the child of R&B and jump blues, flamenco guitar and mariachi Richard Valenzuela. They called you Richie. Said Valenzuela was too much for a gringo's tongue. Said it would taste bad in their mouths if they said it, so they cut your name in half to Valens. And you swallowed that taste down, stood tall like a pachuco and signed that contract. Para su familia, para su música, Richie Valens. It was always about your music. You felt it tumble inside your chest as a boy playing a guitar with only 2 strings. When your neighbor caught you, you thought he'd be angry over your racket. Instead, he helped you repair the instrument and taught you how to grip it correctly. And you, left-handed boy playing a two-string guitar, showed him that you could make the notes fly and sing. At 17, you were signed to Delphi Records, and America wanted to pass you off as Italian, but you did not have old blue eyes. No, yours were young and brown, brown like the dirt in the San Fernando Valley, brown like the hands of your tios and tias who worked in the fields for pennies, died inside cantinas with broken hearts. California's hands were bleeding master, enslaved and white and brown, and you were in the midst of it all. Young Chicano kid on American Bandstand, shredding guitar strings while Dick Clark applauded. I swear, Richie, when I listen, I can hear it all. I can hear the screams from the Zoot Suit riots. I can hear the young gringo hipsters swarming you after a concert, how you made them laugh and dance and sing in their ballrooms, the children sitting on the bleachers of your old middle school, swaying to your rhythm and blues, the old men in your neighborhoods, listening to you play rancheras where they shouted out, "Cántalo muchacho, órale," how you made them all smile in a nation at war with itself, ashamed of the blood on its hands. You took an old folk song from Veracruz, La Bamba, swung that Afro-Mexican rhythm into rock and roll. Para bailar La Bamba, sang all Spanish lyrics at a time when speaking Spanish came with a wooden paddle punishment. You played live at the Apollo while Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley rocked. You were a legend that night, Richie. A legend before you boarded that plane, before you tumbled from the sky like a comet, mere months before your 18th birthday, your body frozen near that lake in Iowa. The phrase, "what if," still sits on our tongues, and America is still trying to shape you into Hollywood, still trying to bleach the memory of your skin, wrote a movie and said you never spoke Spanish, even though you understood each cariño your mother placed into your ears as a child, chalked your death up to superstition and Mexican hoopla. There are myths scattered in your legacy, but I know, Richie, we know it was always about your music, and that can never be disfigured and placed forever in our hearts. It is trapped inside Carlos Santana's fingertips. It drifts through alleys and walkways in the backyards where there's some boy, some place desperate and beautiful, desperately trying to make music from a guitar with only 2 strings. Thank you, y'all. Appreciate you.